If you asked anyone coming into this season, who are the tier 1 quarterbacks in the NFL, you would have got the same 3 answers every single time. You would have got Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow in some order. But now, this offseason coming up, when you ask that tier 1 quarterback question, you're going to have Patrick Mahomes. You're going to have Josh Allen. You should still have Joe Burrow. And you're going to have no, I'm kidding. You're going to have Lamar Jackson. He will be...
take it easy. Take it easy.
He will be the 4th quarterback in that list right there. And to
be fair, Lamar should have been there this offseason. People who didn't think he was a tier 1 quarterback, I think that was ridiculous.
Well, I think most people would have had him at tier 2 coming into this season. And I think that was probably the right spot for him. No. He's great. He is great. And tier 2 quarterback, we're still talking about a superstar. But those 3 guys, I thought, were very clearly number 1. And you know what? Agree to disagree. It's that's part of the beauty of this right here. But halftime, 10-10, goes into the locker room. We talked about him going into the locker room early. You could see he looked disgruntled on TV. Not the start that the Ravens wanted. They're playing the upstart Texans. And at halftime, everyone's talking about the same narrative. Can the Ravens overcome the playoff woes, the Lamar Jackson playoff woes? And man, they came out in the second half and beat the crap out of Houston. Houston did not belong on the field with them in the second half. DeMeco Ryans said that's why he's the MVP. Isaiah Likely said at halftime, Lamar Jackson spoke to the team. They said, when the leader talks, you listen. This year, Lamar Jackson has proven to be worth every penny of that 5-year, $260 million deal he signed. And the Ravens were never going to let him go this offseason. People talked about it and think about it, Ziggy. We were on this show going through teams saying whether or not they would want Lamar Jackson or not based on reports. How crazy is that at some point this offseason, there were fans, I, myself included at a moment for the Vikings, who doubted wanting Lamar Jackson for their team. I can't get over that. Yeah,
I mean, I've seen a lot of people fixating on a bizarre stat that Lamar Jackson at 152 yards passing this game. Way to completely miss the point, right? Lamar Jackson, of course, 100 yards rushing with 2 touchdowns. But most impressively, I mean, he just navigated this game well at every moment he needed to in the second half, right? He knew whether he should be staying in the pocket, whether he should be scrambling, whether he should be passing early. Lamar Jackson, we've seen it this year. When you just put an okay offense around him, we're not talking the San Francisco 49ers here in terms of skill positions. Get him competent receivers who can get separation, a decent run game. He's been doing all this with Mark Andrews. He doesn't even need the elite tight end. Lamar Jackson is a one-man offensive show, and we were saying it all offseason. The teams that weren't going for him, it was just crazy to see people doubting Lamar. I don't think anyone's going to doubt Lamar again coming into a big legacy game.
Oh, if you could offer me Lamar Jackson this offseason to the Vikings, I'd give a foot for him. The guy's been unbelievable this year. And you're right. Without Mark Andrews, without a couple of the really good running backs and J.K. Dobbins and Keaton Mitchell both getting hurt, this offense feels like they really haven't lost too much of a step. Mitchell was explosive in the run game, but Lamar Jackson can take care of that himself half the time. It's a really difficult team to defend. And when you pair that with the ferocious defense, now not an all-time defense, in my opinion, just a very, very good defense that is arguably the best in football, that's what makes this Ravens team so complete and so difficult to stop. And now you get Kansas City at home. Remember, at home is important for the chance to go to the Super Bowl. It feels like it's finally Lamar Jackson and the Ravens' time. And I'm not sure if there's anyone else in the NFL right now or in the AFC that could beat the Chiefs except for this Ravens team. Can you think of one?
I mean, I know they just lost, but the Buffalo Bills played close to well enough to beat the Chiefs. They absolutely could have, right? When we're talking losing by 3 points, you were good enough to be competitive. Otherwise, no, I think those are the only 2 teams that really stand a chance of beating the Chiefs.
Except a healthy Joe Burrow and the Bengals. We've seen them do it before. But as it stands right now, this Ravens team, they have the best shot out of anyone to go in there and take down the Chiefs, or not even go in there, to have the Chiefs come in to their stadium. And it feels to me though, that this is their time. And Mark Andrews might come back. Marlon Humphrey hopefully is back this week. Harbaugh's expressed that. I'm looking at this Ravens team, and I know the fans of the Ravens who listen to this show consistently say, you guys hate us, you pick against us every week. We really don't. Like, there's been multiple weeks where we've said the Ravens are the best team in football, not just the best team in their conference, the best team in the NFL, including the 49ers. This team, when you watch them play, they are so physical and so dominant up front on both sides of the ball that for Kansas City, who was 28th in the NFL in EPA allowed per rush this season, that's a scary team to go up against.
Yeah, this is the matchup I wanted to see all playoff long out of any two teams in any conference. This was it. Because you get to see sort of both of these teams. Now that the Chiefs offense has rounded into form, you're seeing both of these teams at their best. You're seeing a classic strong Ravens defense with Lamar Jackson playing in an offense that can finally unleash his talents versus a rising Chiefs offense and the best defense of the Patrick Mahomes era. We're watching two genuine juggernauts go at it. And this is a huge legacy moment for Lamar, right? I think he's going to rise to the occasion. But if Lamar Jackson wins MVP, wins this game, goes on to win the Super Bowl, people have doubted Lamar his whole career, right? You look like Mike Sando's quarterback tiers where he takes polls across the NFL, coaches, general managers, high-level executives. Lamar Jackson has never been higher than tier 2. Despite even coming off his MVP season, he was like in the middle of tier 2. This year, he was right between Jalen Hurts and Trevor Lawrence. That will not happen if Lamar can rise to the occasion this time.
And to have this moment be against Mahomes means something too. Because to take down the king, to get to ultimately to the Super Bowl, potentially win it, like you said, you'd have all the accolades this season. 2 MVPs in 6 years for Lamar? I mean, that's insane when you really think about it. Who do you think in this game, if you had to pick, and I know that this is where we kind of just get into fun hypotheticals here, but if you had to pick a quarterback for your team in this game, would you'd have to still say Mahomes, right? Probably.
I'm sorry. Patrick Mahomes is the best player in football, and you've seen what he's been able to do on this offense. Lamar Jackson, I think, might be the third best quarterback in the entire NFL, but you are comparing him to one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time.
Yeah, it's crazy that is true at this point. But you need one to beat Mahomes. A lot of times, you need one of these great quarterbacks, like a Burrow.
This is the thing like Patrick Mahomes. I would take him, all else being equal. But Lamar Jackson is one of the few players in the NFL that could conceivably outplay Patrick Mahomes in a game.
Yeah,
maybe
definitely.
It only happens 30% of the time. Maybe it only happens 40% of the time. But there are very few quarterbacks that can look Patrick Mahomes in the eyes and say, I can play better than you. And Lamar Jackson is one of the quarterbacks who can do that. He's one of the only players in the NFL that has a talent Patrick Mahomes doesn't have. There are just not many guys like that.
And if he wins this game and he goes on to win the Super Bowl too, now we're talking about I believe Mahomes has 2 MVPs, right? 2 MVPs, 2 Super Bowl MVPs. Lamar Jackson starts to get into conversation of one of the best quarterbacks probably ever if he gets a Super Bowl MVP and an MVP this season. But got to win this game. Probably not going to get a better chance, and that's something we've said all year, than having Kansas City at home, given how great the AFC is. All these tremendous young quarterbacks who are coming up. Teams are getting better. Jim Harbaugh might go to the Chargers. We're talking about a bunch of teams that are going to be vying for that AFC crown next year. It's not going to get any better than hosting the AFC Championship this year for Baltimore against a weaker Kansas City offense, who, again, we said they're clicking right now, or it seems they're clicking, but this is your time. Go and take that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the AFC North was weaker this year than average. It's very hard to get the 1 seed coming out of that division.
Burrow comes
and I don't want to make it sound like the Ravens got lucky. They earned their spot here. But the odds of you getting a bye into facing a rookie quarterback at home versus facing the weakest Chiefs team of the past 6 years, again, they earned it. And I fully hope they will take advantage of it. But you have to win in moments like this if you are the Ravens.
Yeah, they earned it by beating up on the 49ers, the Lions, the Dolphins, beating the Rams, beating all the playoff teams.
No one's got a better resume.
Oh, yeah. No, it's completely earned from Baltimore. And that's why it feels like this is the year. You've proven it in the regular season. You showed up in the first playoff game. You have it at home. Can't lose this game.